Welcome to the Predictive Playbook. It is April the 7th, 2021, and I have Iris Silver. He can be found at Iris Silver Magic, and also Austin Wang, who can be found at, Austin, I apologize. It's the @ sign, and then, you'll see it in his name on the show here. I apologize for that. It's been a very busy day, and sometimes things fall through the cracks, but welcome to the show, gentlemen. We're going to combine forces, what we're doing. We're combining two shows with this one because yours truly was running late, and there's only so many things you can do to catch up. But this is awesome, and we're going to do NHL first, led by Iris Silver, because all you guys love his hockey picks, and so do I. I think we had another winning show yesterday with Ira and Albert. I think 4-3 overall is what we came up with, and our best bet NBA system of the day actually lost, but since I've been releasing them, they're actually they're 17-6 against the spread, which is pretty good, and it'll take some time to, don't expect that to keep going, is what I'm saying. It's not going to be 34-12, and if it is, then that makes us all happy. So, Ira, let's get right to it here. We'll start with the NHL and games that you like on the card.
Yeah, yesterday my best bet, and Albert was, all on board with me as well with the 2-unit play on the Predators. They looked horrible, to be honest with you, but somehow squeaked out a victory in a shootout last night. So that saved our butts on the show here with that, 2-unit play on the Predators at -155. So that was definitely helpful. But let's get into tonight's card. We'll just start. There's a game starting in about 50 minutes or so from now, and that's the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Ottawa Senators, which is going to be, it's going to be Mike Smith in goal versus Marcus Hogberg. This is a game that you can only bet the Oilers in regulation. It's not a play. I'm not gonna lay $2 with the Oilers.
I wouldn't either. But Ottawa's not that good.
Ottawa's not. Oh, sorry. It's Mikko Koskinen versus Marcus Hogberg. I did play this for half a unit, but I didn't. I played it Oilers in regulation -125. I didn't lay the 200 for full game. I don't see how the Ottawa Senators. Stay in this game. They can be feisty at times, and depends on the day with them, but I just don't see this one being close, especially with the Oilers and their high-octane offense. I did play this for half a unit, Edmonton Oilers in regulation, -125, I believe it is. Next game on the card is the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Maple Leafs are at home. They're -155 favorites, Canadiens +135, over under 6 goals. It looks like this is going to be Jack Campbell versus Jake Allen. And if you guys have watched the show before, you guys know that Jack Campbell is my second favorite goalie in the league, behind Robin Lehner for the Vegas Golden Knights. This is a game that I will be all over, and I will be playing the Maple Leafs at -155. Jake Allen is not good in my opinion. His goals against would say otherwise, but you're going up against a stud in Jack Campbell. He has yet to lose a game this season. He's 9-0 with a 1.53 goals against and almost a 95% save percentage. This guy's unbelievable. He's fantastic. I'm upset that the Kings got rid of him. I'm going to be playing the Maple Leafs -155 tonight. It starts at 7:30 Eastern time. And then moving on, we have the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the St. Louis Blues, short road favorite here. And if you watched the show yesterday, Albert and I both like the short road favorites. And it's going to be Marc-Andre Fleury, it looks like, against Jordan Binnington. While you guys know, if you've seen the show before, I'm not a huge fan of Marc-Andre Fleury. I will be playing the Golden Knights here at -140. I think there's still a lot of value in this line. I think that the St. Louis Blues are just inept right now. They can't really score that many goals, and the Vegas Golden Knights, at any given day and any given night, can score 4 or 5 goals, as we saw the other day against them. So I'm going to be playing the Vegas Golden Knights at -140 against the St. Louis Blues. And next game on the board is the Colorado Avalanche, -190 against the Minnesota Wild. Over under 5.5, shaded to the over at -120. This is a Minnesota Wild or pass game for me. It's not a game I'm betting, but it's either take the plus money with the Wild here or don't bet the game. The Wild are very good, and don't get me wrong, the Avalanche are obviously contenders to win the Stanley Cup this year, but at plus money with the Wild here at plus 165, I'm just not going to take the Avalanche at 190. So it's either the Wild or pass here. And then the last game of the night, you got the Coyotes taking on the Kings at home. The Kings are at home. Looks like you're going to have Cal Peterson going up against Aiden Hill. Aiden Hill's been pretty good, but I love my boy Cal Peterson over at the Kings. Kings got embarrassed the other night by the Coyotes. I'm looking to play the Kings here. It looks like the line right now is -110 or -105, depending on what you can get and where you shop it out. But I'm playing the Kings here at -110 as well. So I got John. I got 4 plays for hockey tonight. You missed some of them, but I like the Kings a lot here tonight.
I apologize for darting out. I had to get my Red Fox Lab Manny inside. It's a little warm, and I was afraid that it was going to happen. So that's why I had to get him in.
So I'll recap my picks here for you, John.
Okay.
Let me know if you agree with any of them. But I like the Oilers in regulation. I like the Maple Leafs -155 tonight against the Canadiens. I like the Vegas Golden Knights again at -140. I like the Kings at -110 a lot. And it's either Minnesota Wild at plus 165 or pass on that.
Okay, so the 4 are the Kings, the Vegas Knights, Toronto, and Edmonton.
Edmonton regulation, correct.
Well, I have the Kings right here in front of me, and they're backed by a ton of systems that I know Austin will appreciate, because he's kind of from that database mold. But we're going to play on home teams using the money line after losing their last game by 2 or more goals and facing an opponent after scoring 3 or more goals in 2 consecutive games. That's hit 58%, which doesn't sound all that good, but it's made $6,390 for the $100 better over the last 5 years, just playing this straight blind. So that's a pretty powerful situation. And I'll say it again real quick. So if you want to write it down, you can play on home teams. Money line, obviously, after a loss of 2 or more goals and facing an opponent after scoring 3 or more goals in 2 consecutive games. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Now it's kind of a regression, a double regression. The home team is going to regress back to normal in a positive way. The visitor is going to have a subpar night. So I like the Kings quite a bit here.
Yeah, so do I. And it's kind of like what we spoke about last night, right? It wasn't an official play. I ended up playing like a very small play on it just to have a little bit of action. But it was like what we talked about yesterday. It was the Ducks against the Sharks. It was Gibson, who had been poor, hadn't looked good in his last few games, against Martin Jones, who looks like, the best goalie in the league the last few games. So it was kind of a regression because Gibson is a fantastic goalie and Martin Jones is just not. So it was, exactly what we spoke about yesterday. Both goalies regressing back to where they should be, and it was a pretty easy win for the Ducks last night. I'm upset actually that I didn't make it an official play.
Yeah, I can understand why too. Looking at the other games here, the Edmonton game that starts relatively soon. I'm a little leery of laying that kind of wood, as some people like to say, with Edmonton, but Edmonton scores a ton of goals. I guess they are the highest scoring team in the NHL, right?
Yeah, that's why I played them in regulation. I didn't lay 200.
Yeah, and I think that's smart too. I mean, they could win the game by 3 goals. But they're a play on in the following system. Actually, it's a play against Ottawa. So you're playing against home teams using the money line that are playing with triple revenge. And right there's your hint. Ottawa's not good. And is a well-rested team playing only 5 or fewer games in the past 2 weeks. That's gone 55 and 28 for 65.7%. And it's made the $100 better $2,670 over the last 5 seasons. So again, 2 systems right here on this show, free. You write them down, you follow them, you track them. And Austin and I have ways of helping you track them too, so you're not sitting there with a pencil and a piece of paper that looks like a spreadsheet, because that would, in this day and age, that's annoying. So that's all very good picks, Ira. I'm just checking the chat room here for any questions. I know you have a hard stop at 4:25, so I'm keeping an eye on that too, which is like 5 minutes away.
I did have a question for you regarding a couple baseball games, the last 2 games on the slate, John.
Okay, let me pull that up.
Yeah, and Austin, I don't know if you're a baseball guy or not, but I do have a couple questions regarding these 2 games. Maybe you can help me out here. Am I crazy?
Do our best.
Am I crazy to think that with John Means on the mound, the Orioles actually have a chance at plus 175?
Yeah, I mean, I took the Orioles as a first 5 at plus 160. I was able to get a good price on the F5 line, and yeah, I absolutely think that they have an outside chance of upsetting the Yankees, especially with Jameson Taylor not being off for a season and not playing for a while. I definitely see him struggling out the gate, and Orioles being able to take advantage of it. Like, they've been playing really well to start the season off, and I definitely think that's a good play there.
Yeah, last year I actually really liked the Orioles in the second part of the year. So I think they're real. I think they're a good team. I mean, I don't know why they don't get as much love as they should. They have a pretty solid lineup that can put some runs up.
Yeah. So it's the after Means, the pitching is kind of a big question mark. That's been the case with the Orioles for several seasons now. They can score 8 and lose. But with Means has been, if my recollection is correct, probably the best pitcher they've had for 2 and possibly 3 seasons, if he was there 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And then the second question I had, second game, was who do you guys like in this Diamondbacks-Rockies game? I mean, John, I know you were on the Rockies last night, so was I. But I feel like we got to go back to the well with the Rockies here, no?
Well, I'm kind of on the Arizona side. There's actually, let me pull this up because there's an outstanding angle backing this game. And I think it's on the, well, let me pull it up and I won't guess. So here we go. And it has to do with Madison, the ancient one. I say that with all due respect, Madison. Don't call me. So, yeah, I have so many different things going on here. All right.
Yeah, I'll chime in. I mean, and I don't have a strong opinion on this game, but I'm not backing Madison Bumgarner in any shape or fashion until he appears to get it figured out. So, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it would be Rockies or pass for me.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just Rockies for me because they can definitely put runs up, and at the same time, it's really a play against Madison Bumgarner. That's it for me. Yep. I don't really need anything else other than that right now.
Absolutely, I agree.
Well, he is 17-8 against Colorado in his career with a 3.28 ERA and a WHIP of 1.212, but that was done over many years. And Senzatella, 2-5 against Arizona with a whopping 6.57 ERA. Interesting enough that the under in his 9 starts against Arizona is 7-2, and I think I was mistaken about the big angle on Madison because I cannot find it off the top of my head here. But I kind of lean to the under here, and I know it sounds nuts when you're talking Colorado, but you have 2 starters that have ERAs that combined for 31.42, and it's only 1 start. But still, when Major League Baseball level pitchers usually bounce back, that's why they're at the Major League Baseball level. Even the fourth and fifth starters have a tendency to do better after a horrible start, or they're not in the majors very long. So for that reason alone, Bumgarner can still get it done. He's not throwing nearly as hard as he did with the years we remember in San Francisco in the World Championship seasons. But these 20-plus season starters, even Kershaw included in that, reinvent themselves. They come up with a different type of slider, a different type of movement. Sometimes the movement is later, sometimes it's earlier. And they end up throwing, sliders, but there's like 3 different kinds. And it gives a different look every single time. And that keeps the batters off balance. But I'll pass on the side, but I will say that I have a lean to the under in this matchup.
Did you guys play anything earlier today? I mean, I know every game pretty much went off. Any baseball plays today for anyone?
I had none. I do have a huge 5%er going tonight on Sports Memo, though, in the NBA. And it's a total, and it's only my third one, and that includes last season. So those are at those sites, Sports Memo and Wager Talk, there is no game of the month or game of the year. It truly is how a professional bettor bets. 3% of your bankroll, 5%, and that's it. You call it a day. So that's one of the many reasons I like being on that team, because when you're dealing with hype, anybody can say anything they want. And every week somebody has a game of the year, or the same guy has the game of the year again. And it's hard to generate a following that way. I've been doing it too long to compete with a guy who's hits 75% for 1 week and then hits 40% for the next 6 weeks. My little take. Ira, if you have to go, you can excuse yourself. But if you want to stay on, that's great. But when you have to go, just hop off.
All right.
So let's move over to the NBA here, and I'll start us off with the system of the day that was on the NBA Wager Talk show, which is on every day. And let me just pull that system up here. Take 1 second to do that. All right, I'll be here momentarily. Sometimes you just can't find things.
I took a couple of too many baseball plays today. I was on the Dodgers' first 5 run line back in Bauer. I took the under in the Brewers-Cubs game, which was looking in really good shape before the show started. I haven't checked since. Wanted to get the under in with Woodruff and Hendricks starting. Took the over on the second game of the doubleheader between the Braves and the Nationals, although I'm kind of wishing I took the over on the first one as well.
Yeah.
And then, I thought I didn't think the Red Sox were going to come out and beat up on the Rays so bad, but I took the Rays, so that was a big L for me there.
Well, I can help you out here. The Chicago game of Milwaukee is 0-0 in the bottom of the 7th, and you had the under, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's looking very, very good.
I had 2 plays in MLB. I took the Boston Red Sox first 5 and full game, and I took the Twins when they were down 1-0 to come back. I got plus money on them.
Good call.
Yeah. That's great. That's two good calls there.
Anyways, guys, I gotta go. Austin, I wish we spent more time together. John,
yeah,
we spend
next time we will.
Next time we will. With you soon. All right.
Hopefully, our hockey picks go well tonight. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks for stopping by. All right, Austin. There's days like this, or I get way behind, and we don't yet have a second host. That's in the process. Yep. So my basketball system, we called it the dead cat bounce. So that's a financial term. It's a joke on Wager Talk. And I worked on Wall Street, so I'm the only one that's allowed to say financial terms. Like catching a falling knife is another one. This system is pretty straightforward. You're going to bet on road underdogs who are facing a host that is not in the same conference.
Okay.
And the host is coming off a win and installed as a favorite but did not cover the spread. So that's the bounce back part of it. So they won and they failed to cover the spread, which means they underperformed even though they won. And now you have a team coming in like the New Orleans Pelicans, which is who this system is targeting, who I think is vastly, thrown to the curb. I don't see them being 9.5 point underdogs to the Nets.
Right.
The Nets to me are a big mystery. I know that they're the favorite now to win the NBA championship, but that's just a reflection of the betting community. It's not a reflection of what might end up being reality. They haven't played those three guys together yet. They play no defense. Durant probably is the only one that knows how to play defense. Kyrie does, occasionally. But, last I checked, and it's that, it's that adage, defense wins championships. And many times it does. In basketball, sometimes it's the fourth quarter. But if you have that lockdown defense like the Sixers show, I rest my case.
Exactly.
So I think here you even sprinkle the money line a little bit too. And for those new to the show, what that means is you take, roughly in this case, because it's a 9-point underdog, I would take 90% of a 3% amount and put that on the spread, and then take the remaining 10% and use that on the money line. And it may not work tonight, but over the course of the season, with these types of dogs, and you follow it, disciplined every single day, every single week, by the end of the season, you're going to be glad you did.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually would agree with you under certain normal circumstances, but I think the Pelicans and both teams, in fact, have too many injuries. I crossed that one off the list immediately. KD is coming back from a pretty long hiatus there, and then James Harden's going to be out for a while with the hamstring injuries. And on the Pelican side of the ball, you've got Brandon Ingram, who's questionable, but I think they're going to expect Zion back as this game. So yeah, I definitely lean towards with Kevin Durant coming back into the mix, usually a player of his caliber and usage rate. I mean, it's going to take some time for him to get back in and fit in and build chemistry with some of the new players that they have. Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. And to your point about defense, they don't really provide that much on that end as well. So yeah, I definitely think Pelicans would be a good look here to cover the spread. Although I did not, I stayed away from this one for tonight, but may look into
Understandable.
it later. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is purely an analytical play too. I wouldn't play it if the injury list was any different than it is now or any worse.
Mm-hmm.
But my gut tells me that if you like the play, I would bet it now. Because if there's any movement, I think it's going to be on the Pelicans.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I saw it at 11.5 like this morning, and it's currently at 9. So definitely some movement in that direction.
Yep. So any good systems for me and the people listening?
Yeah. I wanted to go ahead and just share some observations I've made. And since the All-Star break, unders have been hitting at a much higher rate, 118 to 92 to the under. And so that's 56.2% since the All-Star break. And, just general observation of, fatigue with these compressed schedules, teams playing a little more defense as they get closer to the playoffs, and, playoff seeding is a lot more important these days, and in general, just the compressed schedules I think is a big part of it as well. So I definitely think that's contributing to a lot of these unders that we're seeing since the All-Star break. Even though the last couple of days have been mighty heavy on overs, I think overall we've been seeing more unders since the All-Star break. And another observation I'd like to start with is taking a look at back-to-backs for the remainder of the season. I made a note that the Grizzlies have 8 remaining back-to-backs, and the Mavericks have 7 remaining back-to-backs, and that leads the league. right now, and both teams have been playing extremely well. Grizzlies have covered 9 of their last 10. Mavericks have won and covered 5 straight, so they're on the upswing after running into a lot of issues at the beginning of the season with injuries and safety protocols. But this is brutal for both teams. I mean, the number of back-to-backs is taxing on these players, and factoring in the already compressed schedules to begin with. I see some opportunities to fade these teams in these back-to-back scenarios. Neither of them are very good in back-to-back scenarios, and we're talking a small sample size. But Grizzlies are 3-5 against the spread in back-to-backs this season, 0-5 as underdogs. Again, small sample size, but this gives you a little glimpse of their tendencies and how they tend to perform in these back-to-back scenarios. Mavericks are 3-6 against the spread on back-to-backs, and one interesting note is that Porzingis has only played in 2 of those games. They usually sit him out, and they rest him on those second half of back-to-backs. They want to keep him fresh and healthy for the playoffs. So yeah, just my closing point here is there may be opportunities to fade those 2 particular teams as we continue on with the season, especially the Mavericks. I mean, they're playing really, really well, but they tend to struggle in these back-to-backs. They'll probably be priced a lot higher, and you'll probably have to pay a premium to play the Mavericks. But just take a look when they're on that back-to-back, see if there's an opportunity to there may be a good opportunity to get some value to fade them. So that's my closing point there in regards to the back-to-backs. I didn't know if you wanted to add anything before I get into maybe more specific games for tonight.
No, nothing really. The thing that there's been a theme on a lot of my shows that I'm a guest of or hosting is that I think if you did a survey and asked everybody in the chat room right now, yes or no, is scoring up this season, it would be almost universally yes.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is it's unchanged at 111.7 points per game compared to last year. And then the year before that was also 111.2, I think. But what we've seen is certain teams like Brooklyn will have monster total numbers that we haven't seen, really since the days of the ABA merging with the NBA. The last season with the ABA, if you look it up, just trust me on this, it looks like you're looking at this season. The top scoring offense was 119 per game, and they were averaging 111. Mm-hmm. So, we're kind of going full circle over a almost 50-year time period. So I think that's where these unders that you mentioned are really going to be good money makers on those back-to-backs, because the public has been betting overs, far more than the unders, and that's usually the case in the NFL, every sport. Right. And I think the tide is going to go in favor of the books, and the under is probably the play to look for more likely with the teams that aren't good. Like to your point, you might see a 205 total. I think there's even a 210 tonight. And the tendency of the public will be to go over because, oh my God, this is the NBA. This is 2021. They all score a lot of points.
Right.
Those are your situations where you definitely do the contrarian thing, and I think you'll make a lot of money doing it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for instance, I think teams that typically have those high totals, I think we mentioned it last time.
Yeah.
Wizards, Timberwolves, Pelicans. Yeah, you're starting to see unders as of late. Because of that very reason. People are accustomed to slamming these overs on these high totals and these teams that don't play much defense. But yeah, I think the market has started to adjust now, and then you're starting to see a lot more unders in that regard.
Yep. So let's move on to a couple games that I'm sure you are targeting on the card tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to go ahead and continue on with what I was mentioning earlier about the back-to-backs and talking about the Grizzlies in particular. I wanted to share one particular trend. Since February of this season, home dogs on the second half of a back-to-back where they won their previous game are 4-15 against the spread.
Wow, home dogs back-to-back,
Yep.
and they're coming off a win.
They're coming off a win.
That is amazing.
Yep.
Yep, and that makes sense to me too. It's pretty logical.
Right. So that's going to be active to fade the Grizzlies. And again, they've been really hot. They've been outperforming market expectations. Covered 9 of their last 10. I mean, they won outright against the Heat last night as a 5-6 point underdog, and I think their legs are tired from the night before. Ja Morant got hurt last game, and he's questionable for today. But even if he does suit up, I don't think he's going to be at 100%. The Grizzlies are going to be missing DeAnthony Melton and Brandon Clark, who aren't typically big names, but they really have a huge impact on defense and on the overall. They provide a lot of intangibles for that Grizzlies team, so that's going to hurt a lot for them, especially on the second half of a back-to-back. Hawks, on the other hand, they've been doing really well since Nate McMillan has took over as head coach. They've won and covered 4 games in a row. They're starting to get healthy now. Capella has been playing really well, and I'm going to be back in the Hawks and fading the Grizzlies at the 2.5 mark. So
yeah, I like that play a lot, and that's another one that you can probably play in game and get at the Hawks maybe at pick'em. Yep. So yeah, that's a good call. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, the second one I wanted to talk about is the Charlotte Hornets, and they've been a crazy under team as of late. They've gone 12-2 to the under the last 14 games, and ever since they had LaMelo Ball got injured, he affects their pace quite a bit. So their pace last time I checked was 5 point. He had an impact of 5 possessions on the pace. Since with him off the court, and they've been starting Bismack Biyombo, who also slows down the pace and doesn't do much on the offensive side, and they're of course missing Gordon Hayward as well, another strong scorer. So I'm looking towards playing the under again. I'm going to ride this under train until it loses. The Thunder have been playing really fast, but I just think with the Hornets defense, they're a pretty decent defensive team. I think the Thunder could struggle to score against the Hornets defense. So I'm going to go with the under there of 213.5. And this is in line with, the systems that we shared last time where totals under 219 were hitting, the unders were hitting at a very high rate there.
Yep. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then the other play you have is Atlanta. Minus the 2.5. Yep,
that's right.
Any others with the last couple of minutes we have here?
Yeah, and it will be the marquee matchup that I think a lot of eyes will be on this evening, and that's going to be the Suns and the Jazz, 2 of the hottest teams in the NBA, number 1 and number 2 in the West. I think the Jazz, not so great away from home. They're going to be playing in Phoenix, and the Jazz, of course, shoot a lot of threes, but the Suns are excellent at defending against the three. If you take a look at the first half results, the Jazz are 12-14 against the spread in road games on the first half line, and the Suns, conversely, are 19-7 against the spread on the first half line. So I think the Suns win outright. I think they pull the upset here and win as a short underdog, but I'm going to be targeting the Suns first half as the trends indicate that the Suns do really well in those situations.
And likewise, I have a free pick that's a free pick over at sportsmemo.com. You just go over, hit my profile page, and you'll see that I agree with this on the Phoenix Suns. So, Phoenix,
cool.
a couple quick
hitters. We're on the same page, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Phoenix is 29-16-2 when facing a team that attempts 18 or more 3-point shots per game this season, 23-14 when facing a team that makes 6 or more 3-pointers per game this season. And Phoenix is 28-14-2 when facing a team that is scoring at least 105 points per game this season. So I am with you 100%.
Good. Well, I think we went 4-1 last time we did the show together. So let's keep the momentum going.
Yeah, there's one more thing on the Phoenix here before I let you go. Is the machine learning apps that I run that I've told you about. Phoenix is 21-4 against the spread in home games in which they shot at least 47% from the field, which is the league average. That's why it's 47%.
Right.
And had fewer turnovers than their guests in games played over the last 3 seasons. So, that makes sense to me. I think Phoenix will do a better job with the assist to turnover ratio, and they're 21-4 the last 3 seasons when they've accomplished 47% shooting or better and fewer turnovers. Simple stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I think I might go and hit the full game too.
Yeah, I like both your idea and mine. Yeah. So I really appreciate you being flexible today with combining forces here on the show, and maybe it's a good idea to have you and Ira together. We'll have to see how that goes because Ira is an NHL guy. And you and I are we know the teams in the NHL. We know the betting systems to use in the NHL. But if you asked me to name a goalie, I probably would say Secretariat.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, I had a really interesting, informative horse racing show with a guy that is he's a legend. I mean, there's no other way to call it. It's Marco D'Angelo. He's co-founder of Wager Talk. He raises thoroughbreds. He's been doing it for a long time. Excuse me, and I'm not saying this so you go listen to the show. I actually don't remember the exacta and trifecta he said, and I don't want to make a mistake telling you something about the Arkansas Derby this week that isn't what he said. But if you go to the link, and I assure you, you'll learn a ton about horse racing and how this point system works for the 20 horses to get into the Kentucky Derby, of which Baffert, the owner, which is famous. See, I know a little bit about horse racing. I know Baffert, he's got white hair, and he's a legend. He has 5 horses in the top 50 in this in the prep events. But it's amazing, and I think it's much more fair for the owners the way they do this point system. And then tomorrow morning we start with the Masters. So I won't take up any time talking about that. But I have 11 DraftKings lineups, and I'll leave it at that. I'm looking for my 15th out of 17 majors I've cashed in the DraftKings lineup.
Wow,
and I'm excited about it because David Behrman was on my show, and he's a PGA just guru. I mean, he's been on, I think, 7 times, and all 7, if it's 6 times, it's 6 times. But every show, he's given out winners, and it's allowed me to tweak my lineups so that I actually had lineups that probably wouldn't have cashed, and all of a sudden the one at the Players Championship finished in a 614th spot out of 158,000. So
yeah,
you can only hope and pray that you come in first just once. Yeah. And you know what? I look at it this way, Austin. I'll never win it. I'm not doing it to win it, although that would be great. But it's a hell of a lot better odds than playing the stupid Powerball. Not that it's stupid, because it's stupid if you lose the Powerball, or you take your savings and blow it on a game of chance that is that outrageously against you. At least at 158,000. Yeah. And I would like to think I'm smarter than half of the 158,000 are in the event. But tomorrow, I think the one I'm entered in has 400 and some thousand. It's a $10 guy, which I forget what the total purse is. I think it is over 400,000 because it's 4.5 million in purse.
Wow.
So I just want a little tiny piece.
Yeah, well, what outrights do you have on the Masters?
I haven't really decided yet. I'm going to put them in tonight, obviously before the 8 o'clock first tee time. But I'm leaning Patrick Cantlay because I think it's his time. He's flying under the radar. He's not one of the more popular guys. Because of the Jordan Spieth win and how well he's been playing, he now is the number 2 guy behind Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, what
and
a
that
comeback
is
for him. That's
yeah. I mean, that's good to see. I mean, even if you don't like the guy and you think he's he talks too much to his caddy or whatever, he's playing at a very high level right now, and it's good for the tour. It's good for him, but it's also good for me because now I get Justin Thomas at a cheaper price because Spieth is winning.
Yeah.
So I like Justin Thomas a lot in this event too. The kid from over in Europe, McIntyre, he's 200 to 1. He's 43rd player in the world. I'll take a flyer on that.
Yeah.
I'll gladly take a flyer on that. And Munoz is in the optimization models that I designed. He's number 2 behind Spieth in the overall rankings.
Okay.
So
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it should. Well, I'll be beside myself. That's for sure. Because I just love these majors. I just love golf.
Yep.
But anyway, Austin, thank you very much again for being on the show, and we'll have you on again as soon as possible, as soon as your schedule permits. Because I can tell everybody loves having you on. It's great information, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make ourselves better betters, and everybody that listens in, we're trying to make everybody a little bit smarter every single day. So, for Austin Wang and myself in the Predictive Playbook, may all the wins be yours.